In this video, I want to talk about the Cornell method of taking notes. This is a series of short classes that we're doing on note-taking, usually placed in the context of the induction program. So within the induction program, we discuss note-taking. It's a reasonable thing to do. So let's look at the Cornell method, named after a very famous university in America. In many respects, what I've got on the screen now is the Cornell method. We have, in this case, a sheet of paper, or let's say an editable PDF, depending if you're doing it online or you're doing it on good old-fashioned paper. I've made a slightly different colour here just for it to stand out. It can be, of course, any colour. On the top left, I'll just put the cursor onto the screen. On the top left over here, that's the topic. So you can just write in here what the topic is you're dealing with. Write your name in case you lose it. The lecturer or the teacher or the person who's imparting this information or knowledge. The class or some code for the class. Depends on what you've got. When you did it, the date. And down here will be your notes. So here's the question, the main idea. So first of all, when you listen to a class or participate in a class and listen to what's happening, the chances are it's going to come in sections. There's going to be a topic, perhaps a small topic, or an issue that's going to be discussed. And as long as the tutor or the class are discussing that particular issue, that's of relevance. So take the topic and say, well, at the moment, such and such is being discussed. Something is being discussed. Write it down. Make a note over here. And just in one of these lines here, just pop in that topic. And then find a cue word or almost a one-word explanation of what was being said. So people were talking about a particular issue or technique or whatever it is. Try to find just a couple of words at maximum, just a short expression which will summarize what that discussion is about, and put that in over here. Try and get it down to one word if you can. Even better, a cue word. So now you've got the topic. Here it's a bit more elaborate. You might have filled out a couple of lines on this one, or 3 lines or something. And over here you've got one cue word. Then move on, leave a space between this one and the next topic, and move on to the next topic and listen to what's been discussed and what issues and what problems people have and so on. And wait for the discussion to emerge. And then very quickly write down whatever the topic discussed was. So that's your second topic. And again, pop in some word that's going to bring it back to mind. Now, if you do that for all the topics under discussion, then you have completed the Cornell method. I'm going to run through a few more slides on this one, but I'll do it so quickly because, in a sense, that's it. Down here you can put in a summary, some extra notes that you want to think are relevant. It just gives you the freedom. In between each topic down here, you might want to leave a few lines, because sometimes people go back to something they've discussed and think of something else and add it in. So when you get a topic, fill out a few lines here explaining what it is, but in a main cue word or a short expression to bring it back, and leave a few lines, because sometimes people go back, as I said, and add something to it or forgot to mention something the first time round. So you've got a few lines to add that in, and move on to the next topic down here, and again a cue word. And that's it. In many respects, that is the Cornell method. So it's a systematic way of condensing and organizing notes. You take something quite large, an article, for example, or a lecture, or a discussion, a seminar, whatever it is, something quite big, and you manage to condense it down to a few lines on here. That's a topic. In the same session, there might be another topic, another issue. Give it a few lines in between, just in case you need to add some more. Go down, add another topic, and put in a keyword, something that will represent that and bring it back to your mind later. Doesn't require further write-up, so it's very useful. Once you've got it done on a piece of paper or on as I said, an editable PDF, you've got it done. It's fixed. So this shows a template. As I said, it's just one that's fairly standard in the literature. When you look up the Cornell Method, you'll see this type of form, the one I've got here. I've made it a slightly different color just for it to stand out, as I said. But this is it. So use ruled paper, wide margin on the left, leaving an area on the right, which to make the notes. That's all we've got on the sheet. During the class or during the seminar or during the discussion, take down information in the large area and try and find a summary point, a couple of words to describe what has been discussed, put that in the left hand side, and skip a few lines between each topic, because as I said, you might want to go back and edit it. And immediately after the class, go back to it and fill out any gaps or any blanks or things that during the time when you're in the class or in the lecture you didn't have time to deal with. Now, can I just say, in the context of Galton College, it's not that important because we use a lot of video content. So when you're dealing with the video, you can always stop the video, rewind it. But in a live class, as I keep saying during induction programs, you can't stop the lecture and rewind. People do not rewind. And if you ask them to repeat it, after a while they'll get annoyed. So with ours, the videos don't get annoyed, so you can rewind as many times as you want. So the points I'm making here are more for live sessions. Having said that, in Galton College, when we do a live session, we also keep a record of that and make it available. So in the context of Galton College, it's not that important, but you may find yourself in learning situations as you move through not just your studies with us, but your studies later on in life, where you need to make notes, and this is where this series of talks are relevant. Anyway, for every significant bit of information, write a Q on the left-hand margin. As I said, just summarize it. On the left, on that sheet of, on that form that we had earlier, on the left-hand side, just put down what has been discussed. Try and get onto a word or a couple of words. Just a very brief expression. So that will, when you see that expression, it should trigger off what's on the right-hand side. If you've looked at them long and studied them hard enough over a long period of time, wherever you see that cue on the left, it'll bring up what's on the right and help you to remember it. Now, to revise the class, simply cover the notes and leave the cue words exposed. Now say the cue word out loud, then say as much of the material under the card as you can imagine. Just test yourself. Just cover the right-hand side, look at the cue, say the cue, and see what you can remember of the right-hand side. And when you've said as much as you can, move the card and just compare it to. See if you've forgotten anything. Just test yourself. What are the advantages of the Cornell system? Well, it's organized and systematic for recording and reviewing notes. It's got everything on one piece of paper. It's an easy format for pulling out major concepts and ideas. You've summarized it all in the cue points on the left-hand side of the sheet. So as soon as you come across a point that is very similar to one of those cue points, it should trigger off what's on the right-hand side. And on a personal level, this is a system that I've used. So I do quite like it. It's very simple and very efficient. It saves time and effort as well. Do it right in the first place. You're taking notes, do it right in the first place. Why take the notes and then go away and write up the notes again and again, and then you lose them and have to write them out again? Just get it on one piece of paper. And when you get it on a piece of paper, take a picture of it on your phone. File it away so you don't lose it. The advantages of the Cornell method, well, sorry, disadvantages, well, there are none. I can't think of any disadvantages. It's all positive. But if you can think of disadvantages, let me know. I'd be very interested to hear. When to use the Cornell method? Well, in any lecture situation. Just whenever you need to take notes, the Cornell system is highly advised. And that's it. That's all I'm going to deal with on this particular video on taking notes. As I said, we're putting together 4 videos, I think it is, on this topic. So this is one of them. But let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.